I was 3 states away at a work conference, feeling on top of the world, when my phone buzzed. It was a text from my partner, and the words on the screen made my heart stop. He announced he needed a break, just like that. No conversation, no respect, just a casual message that shattered everything. My world flipped in that one moment. I sat there, staring at the screen, surrounded by the buzz of the conference, but all I could hear was a deafening silence in my head. My first instinct was to fall apart, to call him, to demand an explanation. But then a strange calmness washed over me. I took a deep breath, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. I decided right then and there I would not give him the satisfaction of seeing me broken. I typed back a simple, polite response, something like, "I understand. I hope you find what you're looking for." I hit send, hiding the storm of heartbreak raging inside me. For the rest of the conference, I put on a brave face. I networked, I gave my presentation, I even laughed at jokes. But underneath it all, a plan was forming. This wasn't just a breakup, it was a profound disrespect. And I knew I couldn't just let it go. I wasn't going to beg or wait for him to come back. This humiliation deserved a powerful, intelligent response. I realized I was holding all the cards. I had the keys, the lease was in my name, and I had a community of friends who had always been a little skeptical of him. The flight home felt different. I wasn't flying back to heartbreak. I was flying back to reclaim my life. I walked into our apartment, and it felt like a museum of a life that was no longer mine. His things were everywhere. His favorite hoodie on the chair, his video games by the TV, his collection of worn-out sneakers by the door. Each item was a little reminder of the life we had built, a life he had just discarded with a simple text message. I looked around, and instead of sadness, I felt a surge of determination. This was my home, and it was time to make it mine again. I didn't waste a moment. I went to the store and bought boxes, packing tape, and thick black markers. The process was methodical, almost therapeutic. I started in the living room, packing his books and movies. Then I moved to the bedroom, folding his clothes and placing them neatly into boxes. With each item I packed, I felt a piece of the hurt and confusion lifting off my shoulders. I wasn't just packing his belongings. I was packing away the memories, the broken promises, and the version of me that would have waited by the phone for him. My friends started calling and texting, having heard whispers. I told them I was okay, that I was handling it. A couple of my closest friends came over not to console me but to help. They brought pizza and put on upbeat music. We turned what could have been a tearful, lonely night into a celebration of independence. We packed and labeled every single box with his name in bold, clear letters. We were efficient like a well-oiled machine. By midnight, every trace of him was gone, neatly contained in a stack of cardboard boxes by the front door. The apartment felt spacious, clean, and entirely mine. It was a blank canvas, and I was ready to paint a new future on it. But this was nothing compared to what I discovered next. If you enjoy stories about turning the tables and finding your strength, feel free to follow for more. As we were finishing up the last box, my friend was scrolling through her phone and suddenly gasped. She turned the screen towards me, and my blood ran cold. It was a photo from his sister's wedding, which was happening that same weekend. And there he was, smiling in the picture, with his arm around someone else. It wasn't just any photo. It was a professional shot, clearly taken by the wedding photographer. They looked comfortable, happy, like they had been together for a while. The caption from a mutual acquaintance read, "So happy to finally see these two together." Suddenly, everything clicked into place. The break wasn't about him needing space. It was about him wanting to introduce his new partner to his entire family without the complication of an official breakup. The text message wasn't just cowardly. It was a calculated move to keep me on the back burner just in case this new thing didn't work out. The humiliation I felt before was nothing compared to this. He didn't just break my trust. He tried to play me for a fool in front of everyone we knew. That was the moment my calm resolve hardened into steel. This was no longer just about moving on. This was about taking my power back in a way he would never forget. My clever response needed to be public, definitive, and completely undeniable. I looked at the stack of boxes, and I looked at my phone. I knew exactly what I had to do. The plan wasn't about revenge in a hateful way. It was about revealing the truth with grace and finality. I wasn't going to sink to his level of drama or deceit. Instead, I decided to outsmart them by simply and elegantly telling my own story, on my own terms. My friends and I stayed up late, not plotting revenge but strategizing my comeback. It had to be classy, swift, and leave no room for argument. First thing in the morning, I arranged for a moving service to pick up his boxes and deliver them to his parents' house, where I knew he'd be staying after the wedding festivities. I sent a polite, brief email to his mother, letting her know his belongings were on their way, framing it as a way to help him with his transition. Step 1 was complete. The physical ties were cut. Now for the public declaration. I spent some time crafting the perfect social media post. I found a beautiful smiling photo of myself from the conference, one where I looked confident and genuinely happy. The caption was simple and direct, but every word was chosen with care. It read, "Sometimes a new chapter starts with a single, clear decision. Excited to announce I'm officially single and embracing a future filled with new adventures, honesty, and self-respect. Here's to new beginnings." I didn't mention him. I didn't mention betrayal. I simply stated my new status with positivity and strength. Then, I went through my profile and untagged myself from every photo with him. And finally, I changed my relationship status to single. I hit post at the exact moment I knew the wedding reception would be in full swing. The final piece of my plan involved our mutual friends. I didn't ask them to attack him, but I knew the truth would spread naturally. My post, combined with the photo of him and the new woman circulating from the wedding, would create an undeniable narrative. He had tried to control the story with a quiet, manipulative text message. I was taking control back with a loud, clear, and public statement of my own independence. I took action that turned everything around, not by tearing him down, but by building myself up in the most visible way possible. The aftermath was immediate. My phone lit up with notifications, not of pity, but of overwhelming support. Friends, family, and even acquaintances commented with messages of encouragement, celebrating my strength. The narrative wasn't "poor her, she got dumped." It was, "Wow, look at her taking control of her life." Meanwhile, at the wedding, the effect was seismic. I later heard from a friend who was there that his phone started buzzing uncontrollably. He looked down, saw my post, and his face went pale. At the same time, guests who were friends with both of us started seeing my post and putting the pieces together. The photo of him with his new partner was suddenly seen in a very different light. His attempt to have a smooth, secret transition had backfired spectacularly. He was exposed not by my accusations, but by his own actions, laid bare for his entire family and all our friends to see. He tried to call me, text me, desperate to manage the fallout. I didn't answer. I blocked his number. There was nothing left to say. I had already made my statement. He had wanted a break, and I gave him a clean one. The satisfaction wasn't in his embarrassment, it was in my own liberation. I had taken a moment of deep hurt and turned it into a declaration of my own worth. Standing in my newly emptied apartment, I didn't feel lonely. I felt powerful. I felt free. It was the beginning of a new story, one where I was the sole author. For more dramatic stories about turning the page and starting fresh, follow this page. Thanks for listening.